It's been a while, hasn't it? I guess I'm just making this as a follow-up to last year's video where I said I was like approaching 30 and I was feeling like everything was going wrong. Admittedly, things aren't going as perfect as I'd like, but I definitely think there's been substantial improvement in some areas at least. The PTSD that I had, I mean, I still have it, but it's I'm doing a new medicine that seems to be significantly improving it. Like, it's instead of getting like beyond enraged and losing it maybe like every day, it's maybe every week or something. So, I mean, it's still not ideal, but the 7-fold increase is a major step in the right direction. Also restarted that BOINC program, the Berkeley Open Infrastructure for Network Computing, Citizen Science. I remember I took a hiatus of that for a few years, and I've finally gotten back into doing it. Probably a bit too much. Right now I have a bunch of tasks, a lot more than I'd planned, and I'm hoping I can get them all done before the deadline. I mean, I think I can, but it's going to be cutting it a bit closer than I'm comfortable with, and it's going to kind of require just giving the computer its full attention for a while. I guess there's a minor friend circle, but still not exactly where I'd like it to be. But I suppose it's, again, a step in the right direction. It's better than having a bunch of, people who just act like it's acceptable to reach out maybe once a year and say they're trying as hard as they can, which really gets old. It's like a slap in the face. Like, you're not trying hardly at all, and you're acting like you're trying as hard as you can. Well, how are you supposed to work with that? Because they think they're doing just fine. They're not going to make any efforts to improve, but what they're doing is still not enough to avoid chronic loneliness. So it's like, people need socialization, and the people I've known so far just haven't given me enough. Like, reaching out once a year it's not enough. Like, I need more socialization than that, or I feel like cripplingly lonely. And I say, hey guys, can you try a bit more? And instead they're like, well, we're doing as much as we can. It's like, well, then I can't be friends with you, because I need to feel like I'm actually something resembling a priority. And, when people can't even respond because they're playing their video games and too busy with that's kind of, again, a slap in the face. So, recently got back into playing live poker to some extent. I mean, not as much as I'd like. I'm a bit nervous to actually go to the casino and do a cash game, but I'm doing a $20 tournament actually now. Not like right now, but I'm heading there now. I've also moved out. I think you've picked up on that from previous videos, but just want to state that. I also, surprisingly, am in a relationship now. It's crazy to believe. I thought I'd never get to that point, but I've been in one for like 6 months at this point, I think, and we definitely had a couple hiccups, but I think it's mostly going good, so we'll see what happens. Definitely a step in the right direction from the endless string of evaporating online date contacts where you talk to them and then they just ghost you. It's just so disheartening, honestly, when that happens, and I'm glad I don't have to deal with that crap anymore. Even if this doesn't work out, though, which I hope it does, but if it doesn't, I'm not going back to online dating free to use. People just don't take it seriously, and it's a negative impact on you mentally. It's not worth it. Also, Scream Fortress. I'm still kind of upset it's done, but I am going to try to look into see if they have any community servers that still have Halloween maps, and there's still NG Fortress that sometimes has those, so it's just not the same as player versus player, though, but it's nice to see that. I mean, it kind of showed me I am capable of actually getting some goals done, because I had some pretty rigorous goals of maps I wanted to play. I definitely want to tone it down a bit next year, but it was kind of useful to realize that, yeah, I could actually do some of these goals. So I think a part of the problem is mentally, everyone's told me you can't do this or not believed in me to the point where I don't even try a lot of stuff anymore. Definitely doesn't help when you bring stuff up to your parents and family and sister, and all they ever say is, well, you can't do that. So I think there is like potential for some stuff. It's just a matter of actually dedicating it to things that aren't video games. So I think in the future, we'll see if this actually happens. I guess I'll update this later. I wouldn't mind getting back into comedy. I'm a bit apprehensive, though, because, the last time I thought I had a family, and then they turned on me and said, well, you're not good enough for us, get out. And it's like, okay, is that just going to be how it's going to be for all these? Because if that's the case, is it worth doing it? Again, why would I don't want to invest in something to get hurt again. And I do wonder if I'm even good enough to do it in the first place. if a group that is not even like really that professional says that, it's kind of like, well, what's the point? Poker, I wouldn't mind getting more involved in that and playing a bit more. Again, I'm really nervous because it's like, I don't know, it just feels like I've won a fair amount, but it just feels like, is this just a fluke? Am I really as good as I think I am? There's some imposter syndrome going on there, I guess. And it sucks because it's like it's kind of preventing me from really investing in it when it's like, I think if things go well, I could potentially be pretty darn good at it. But then again, I felt that way about other things. So do I really want to invest in it heavily when a lot of other times things have blew up in my face when I've tried that? Like with writing, I wouldn't mind getting back into that. I think I have a start date of January 22nd because that's when things on FimFiction went to a head and everyone was attacking me and no one backed me up. And I just said, you know what, fine, 2 years no writing, because if that's how I'm going to be treated, no one's going to get anything from me. Don't, like, again, a lot of these writings I think could help people who are marginalized and stuff in certain groups. But if people are just going to attack me and bite the hand that feeds them, I think this is kind of the best way to send a message that, like, no, you don't do that to me because I won't help you if you do that to me. I'm not asking for you to grovel at my feet, but basic respect, is that too much to ask? And I know there's always going to be those guys, but not everyone should be those guys. And not everyone else should be sitting there twiddling their thumbs, watching this happen, refusing to step in until I dare to take a stand against them. Because that's not acceptable. I definitely want to talk about that cult of brony garbage, too. I also wouldn't mind starting a business, though. We'll see what goes with that. I mean, that's kind of complicated. I had ideas for a cat cafe, but again, I really don't know where the heck to start with that. Wouldn't mind starting a YouTube business, but again, like, it seems like the views just aren't there anymore on a lot of my channels. Maybe part of that's like I haven't uploaded as much lately and I haven't done new things. And then things I want to do on YouTube. I remember I've done like lists of that garbage before. I never get to any of it because it's too overwhelming. So I'm going to list like 6 things. 6 things that I want to do, or 7 things, and give them more focus instead of trying to do all this stuff and end up getting overwhelmed. So my main channel, I wouldn't mind, well, not this channel, but my main channel, I wouldn't mind doing science videos, like just like explaining scientific concepts. Could be simple, could be complex. I mean, I used to be really into science, and I think I could still be, I'm still into it. It's just, I think part of it too is just actually writing it out. I'm kind of apprehensive to get involved because it's sort of like I try to script these. I speak them aloud at work when I'm like pushing carts because it's like practice, and I keep like freezing in my mind. So maybe I just need to, get into practice of writing scripts or something. Reddit readings, I think that's pretty straightforward. I think it'd be fun to maybe offer support to people who need it in those posts, as well as call out the jerks on Reddit who just think that everything needs to agree with them or they have the right to bash you. Poker, I mean, again, I wouldn't mind doing poker vlogs. I have a bunch recorded. It's just a matter of doing the daunting task of editing them. Yeah, it's sort of like it takes so long. It's like, well, I don't even want to get started. Then these things just build up and it gets overwhelming. Also nervous about it too, so we'll see. Rants and talks. I mean, I've done that on this channel, so more of that, I guess. If you've watched the channel, you know exactly what I'm talking about there. App series. I wouldn't mind like reviewing some of those apps that you see advertised on the App Store for like other apps. Like, how some games you watch ads and then they reward you for it. Some of those apps are pretty cringeworthy. Some of the advertisements are cringeworthy. Like, there was one where someone goes up and slaps everyone's butts and then they start pooping all over the place. It's like, is that really supposed to make me want to play your game? Because that's more, it just makes me laugh. It's so ridiculously over the top. And then reactions. I might want to get back into that, but I'd probably focus less on GoAnimate and more on more topical and serious stuff. I definitely think that I want to branch out from what I used to do on that one channel too. Like, I don't know if I do it on this. I might do serious ones on this, but if I do reactions on the other channel, I might want to branch out. It's just, I feel like the community I've attracted for the most part is not the community that I want to be around, because it feels like a lot of them just care more about the content than actually me, and I just don't need that in my life. Plus, it doesn't get a lot of views and money, so like I'd look to actually make some disposable income at some point. It just doesn't seem to be getting me there, so I need to diversify. Anyway, time's almost up. I'll see you guys later. Hopefully I make this next year and things will be going even better.